Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Karl May. I did provide some feedback on, or feedback is actually for the panel earlier, just so that you know, move the chairs a little farther apart. You won't have the positive gain through the amplifiers, and there will be less feedback. I'm an electrical engineer. I was an electrical engineer. I've only done software in my life. Hurt myself soldering back at Stanford about 10 years before she was born. And so stuck to software. I'm here to talk to you today about a very different element of the built environment. I'm really talking about the role of information technology and in creating great customer experiences in buildings. I mean, today we create buildings for people. We talked about them. You've talked about people, your clientele being architects or construction engineers or whatnot who need tools to build things. I'm really talking about the people who then move in and write you a check that finances that entire process and use that building for their offices. We don't really focus on residential, but offices, retail, and so forth. And so what I'm really going to talk about today is how we can create, working with you, how we can create great experiences, great digital experiences for customers. So let's see if this works. It does. So we'll start off by saying, and actually the other thing I was going to say at the beginning was, as I was listening to everybody this morning, I looked on Wikipedia and saw that next month marks the 50th anniversary of Sesame Street. And why do I bring that up? Because if you remember one of the segments on Sesame Street, one of these things is not like the other. Well, that's me. That's at least how I feel with all of you. So, I had a boss a long time ago. We were talking about the gentleman over here, Tom, talked about the operating a business well and then innovating for the future. I worked for a company once called Silicon Graphics, which many of you may have heard of. Actually, you may have used. Somebody talked about the 777 development. People used it for. We actually sold a lot into the CAD space. And what we did really well was innovating, coming up with great future products while driving our existing business into the ground. And so, but the boss, the CEO, he had this great line, which was make change your friend. And I actually want to say that, one of the things that when we talk to landlords who are in most cases, our customers, I really want to emphasize, whoops, did I lose something here? Making change your friend. So there's a lot of discussion this morning about WeWork. WeWork has changed the office consumption model dramatically. Whether or not whatever happens to the company, it doesn't matter. I mean, this gentleman over here talked about the fact that people work differently inside of WeWork. WeWork has also changed the way companies, big, medium, and small, expect to consume office space. And the old days of the of the 7 to 15 year lease and the cold shell, and I build out the tenant improvements to my spec, and then I have to figure out IT. Yes, they will still exist for some customers, but for the majority, for the big bell in the middle of the bell curve, that is not going to be the case. Oh well. So I will wing it a little bit here. What do? Join has created its own private internet. We operate in about 10 markets right now in the United States. We deliver IT as a service to buildings. We started off with the inspiration from large enterprises that came to us saying, all of our information technology, our applications, the services we consume, where we do all our software development is all moving to the cloud. We have these amazingly complex corporate networks that are completely worthless right now because we don't need them to connect servers anymore that used to sit in our offices. It sits at AWS, it sits at Google Cloud, it sits at Microsoft Azure. And so they came to us and said, why can't you do for us with the network what AWS did for compute and storage for the other two pillars of the IT triumvirate? And so we've created a platform which is currently operational in as I said, in about 11 markets, to deliver IT as a service to offices. So that's number one. Along the way, one of the things that we realized is the enormous inefficiency of information technologies inside the building. Oh, there we go. So in any event, yes, well, now I'm off. I've started to wing it, so I'll have to continue down that path. Let's see here. So let me see if I can get ahead of myself here. So in any event, as we walked down the path, what we realized, actually, we have a good friend in the back of the room who inspired a lot of us as he was talking to us. And what we realized is that within the building, there are computers everywhere. There are sensors. There are building management systems. There are boilers. Actually, I was just at CRE Tech or CRETech the last couple of days at Dock 72. We worked together. We supported a handful, probably 10 or 15 different companies that came to us and said the biggest impediment to our ability to automate collection of data or management of existing systems was we don't really have a very reliable and certainly not at all a very secure connection either to the public internet or the public cloud. We don't have that. And so if we're in a building, and what we do is we go in once and install and then spread throughout the building, we can not only simplify life, make life better for the enterprise, we also can make life much, much better for those that are managing systems that are in the building. The systems that keep you warm, or as I am right now, cold, keep you cool, or that turn on the lights, or that provide surveillance security through cameras and so forth. All of these devices are in fact little endpoints, little computers that have to be connected and directed somewhere. And so what we do is what we've seen really is the emergence and what we're driving is the emergence of the smart building. Everybody talks about the smart building. You all talk about it in the early days, right? You're building them. You have the advantage, those of you, actually everybody who's given a presentation today has the advantage of you're building something brand new. I'm dealing with that back there, which is buildings that are anywhere from 10 to maybe 50, even 100, Rockefeller Center, 80, 90 years old. How do we retrofit those? Because, like it or not, they still exist in the marketplace out there. And so really what we focus on is really not only delivering IT as a service, move along in my little build here, not only delivering IT as a service to the tenants and providing a great experience for them, but doing the same thing for the back of the house, for the people that need to connect their HVAC systems and all sorts of, frankly, their billing systems, their corporate networks, need to provide that for their own operations on a day-to-day basis. So how do we do that? We're a little bit different than, we're not an MSP, we're actually a technology company. And it happens that a lot of our intellectual property is really grounded in cybersecurity and privacy. A lot of people have talked about software today. We actually build, or we specify all of our own hardware. So we don't buy from the big names out there because we can't afford their margins. So we build everything to our specification using merchant silicon, optics, radios, and so forth. We have our own routing stack, our own cybersecurity stack, so we have built all of that. And what we've done, because a lot of you have talked about collaboration, is that we've built this as a programmable environment. And the idea is to provide open interfaces to the third parties. Actually, I think there are a couple of you in the audience that might be interested in talking to us, because we provide those open interfaces to third parties so that they can leverage our platform to offer their services to customers as well. And so the idea is that, again, as somebody talked about earlier in terms of open source, we've really open sourced all of the way that people access the network. It is not a proprietary system like the conventional hardware and, frankly, service providers offer. And so, in summary, what we do is provide IT as a service, both to tenants in buildings, in offices, in flex environments, in spec suite environments, in single tenant environments, as well as to connect and secure all of those back office systems, sensors, cameras, and so forth that are becoming commonplace in buildings everywhere, both old and new. Thank you very much.